Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy, also known as Knits here on YouTube and on Instagram. I love knitting and talk about all things knitting here on this channel. And today we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be diving into what's popular in the commercial fashion world, like knits that you can buy online or at the mall. But instead, we're going to also be talking about how you can knit them yourself. Alright, so I'm really excited to film this video. I've had this idea brewing in my head for a while. I think ever since I started knitting garments for myself, I've kind of had this idea of wanting to share things that I've seen at the stores when I'm shopping, like at the mall or online shopping for clothes. And whenever I see knits for sale, I'm always thinking, I don't want to buy that because I can knit that instead. So I was thinking of making this sort of a series and probably looking at it seasonally. So today's video, I'm calling it sort of winter 2023 trends that I'm noticing at stores at the mall and stuff, and we're going to be looking at what knitting patterns are out there that sort of match the same style or the same trend. So I've been doing lots of research, mostly online shopping, and looking at some mainstream stores, places like Abercrombie, Everlane, Aritzia, and seeing what sweaters that they're promoting on their websites and at their stores. And then I searched for a bunch of different knitting patterns that match those sort of characteristics. So I have 4 different trend categories that we're going to look at. Okay, so the first major trend that I noticed when shopping online for knit sweaters was the all-over Fisherman's Rib look. There were a ton of sweaters that existed at all the different stores that had this style. One of the first ones I noticed was at H&M. They have their Fisherman's Rib sweater pictured here, and it's sort of an all-over raglan. It kind of looks like a raglan construction sweater. You can see it's very chunky, has a really high sort of mock neck style, and one knitting pattern that I found that was pretty similar to that is called the Fisherman's Rib sweater by Leah Lique. Now this is an Aran weight knit. It is seamless, so I believe it's knit top down. It has a drop shoulder construction, so it's not exactly a raglan, but you can see that the end result is pretty similar to the H&M sweater. One thing about this pattern to note, it's not very size inclusive. The largest bust size that it has a pattern available for is up to 48 inches, so just keep that in mind. I was looking for more size inclusive patterns. One pattern that I found that's also similar to this style is the Birch Pullover by Andrea Mowry. Now the Birch Pullover, it's not nearly as chunky as the H&M sweater. In fact, this is actually a fingering weight sweater, but it's knit in half Fisherman's Rib. It does have the raglan design. I think the overall finished effect of the sweater sort of gives that same impression as the H&M sweater. This does come in 9 different sizes, so it's more size inclusive than the first one I mentioned. I personally love the look of the sweater. I kind of have it on my future to knit list, but it's not on my immediate to knit list, but it looks like a really nice pattern. They also have a lot of Fisherman's Rib cardigans out there. H&M also has this Fisherman's Rib sort of V-neck button-up cardigan, as you can see pictured here. Now, if you follow Petite knit like I do, she just came out with her Agnete cardigan pattern. Now, this looks very similar to the commercial cardigan. It's a beautiful piece. It's DK knit. It is in brioche stitch, so it's not actually in Fisherman's Rib, but brioche and Fisherman Rib kind of have the same look at the end. This is a top-down seamless drop shoulder cardigan pattern, and it has like the thick button band, and you do the big buttons, kind of similar to the commercial cardigan as well. The designer Ozetta also has 2 different cardigan patterns that are knit in all over half Fisherman's Rib. They are both raglan patterns and they're both worsted weight patterns. They're called the Seasons cardigans. One is just called Seasons cardigan and the other pattern is called the Oversized Seasons cardigan. I'm actually currently working on the Oversized Seasons cardigan. I don't particularly know the difference between the Seasons cardigan and the Oversized Seasons cardigan. They have very similar gauges and they both are worsted weight knits. And I believe the main difference might just be the fit and the sizing. But feel free to check out those patterns. They have, the similar V-neck all over Fisherman's Rib and the big chunky buttons and the big thick button band. And that's going to give you the same look as the H&M cardigan. So I did also see this sweater at Everlane. This is their felted merino half zip sweater. One sweater pattern that I saw, it's actually in testing, so it's not going to be available for a while, but that is the Lanark sweater by Rebecca Clow of the Crea Knits podcast and Instagram. If you follow her channel, she posted on Instagram this beautiful zipper sweater design that has that ribbing texture. I think it's half fisherman's rib all over, drop shoulder design, top down, and you do add the zipper at the end, so it has a very similar finished look to the Everlane half zip pictured here. I think in her latest Instagram post she said that once testing is finished, it might be released around March, so keep an eye out for that if that interests you. Okay, the second trend that I noticed while shopping online for sweaters is the concept of very oversized turtlenecks and mock necks. I saw a lot of them at a bunch of different stores. The first one being this Madewell Loretta mock neck pullover sweater. This is an oversized sweater. It does sort of have a set-in sleeve, which I know is not super common in knitting patterns today, but it has that all-over ribbing pattern as well. Some similar knitting patterns to that I found include the Nenne's pullover or Nenne's pullover. Sorry, I don't know the correct pronunciation, but this is a pattern by Cordula Hopmann, and this is a worsted weight 2x2 rib knit sweater. It has sort of that mock neck or sort of funnel neck look. The shoulders kind of seamlessly come up from the neckline, and it looks like it widens at the waist, which looks really nice. I think it's described as an A-line shape, and that just looks like a big cozy knit. It does go from sizes extra small to 3XL, just to note. Everlane sells what's called an oversized cashmere turtleneck. It's a raglan turtleneck. It's pretty boxy fit, and it has very long ribbing details on the cuffs as well as the bottom edge of the sweater. Now, the first pattern that came to mind when I saw this on Everlane's website was Petite Knit's caramel sweater. It's almost like a exact replica of that design. It is a 2x2 rib detail turtleneck. The 2x2 rib is the turtleneck and the cuff, but all over stockinette for the rest of the body. It sort of has that boxy cropped fit similar to the Everlane sweater. Another oversized turtleneck that I saw was this one at H&M, but it does have drop shoulders, so it's a little bit different than the one I just mentioned, which was a raglan design. So for this drop shoulder one, a similar pattern design that I found for knitters is the Winter's Pullover by Ozetta. So this also has the folded turtleneck, the drop shoulder. You can see it has a very oversized finished look, and it is knit in an Aran weight, so pretty large knit, probably would knit up pretty quickly. Comes in 8 sizes, which is great. Now, one sweater I also found at Everlane's website, which looked pretty nice to me, was this mock neck sweater that had this triangular detail coming down from the neckline. I thought that was pretty unique, and I actually found a knitting pattern that had the same style neckline with a triangle detail, and that's the Iceberg by Hinterm Stein. Now, this is a DK weight knit. You can see it has the mock neck. It looks like some sort of either fisherman's rib or half fisherman's rib detail with that triangle, which looks really nice, and it has sizes extra small through 4XL. All right, the third trend that I'm noticing this winter in the commercial fashion world is polo sweaters. We've seen a ton of polo sweaters at a bunch of different stores. Abercrombie has this polo sweater. It actually has sort of like an all-over basket weave or checkerboard patterning on it, which I think is a cool look. Now, I couldn't find a knitting pattern that had that exact same checker pattern with also having the combination of the polo collared neck, but I did find something very similar in concept, and that is the Groningen pullover by MJ Wilms. Now, this is a DK weight polo sweater. You can see it has all over texture, which is really nice. It's something different than your plain stockinette sweater. It is a seamed piece, but it does come in 9 different sizes. It is a DK weight knit, and I think that's a fun play on the trend of polo sweaters. Now, if you're looking for more of a basic polo sweater, those are in abundance online. Everlane has one, as well as Aritzia, and some similar patterns that I've found to those are the polo sweater by Originally Lovely. Now, I actually knit this one last fall and really liked it. It's a free pattern online, so you don't even have to pay for it if you want to knit it. It's a DK weight knit, top down, raglan shaping, and it has the nice V-neck polo collar that's double knit, so overall great basic piece. And Petite Knit also is coming out with the Elizabeth blouse. I believe it's in testing right now and it hasn't been released yet, but you can see in her Instagram photos here that it's basically an exact replica of what they're selling in the stores these days. One last polo sweater knitting pattern that I do want to share. It's a little bit different than the basic polos, but I think it's really fun, and that is the Perfect Polo by Hinterm Stein. And you can see here that she adds a lot of texture to the collar collar to the cuffs and to the bottom edge of the sweater itself. That's sort of worked into like the V-neck and the polo collar itself. I think it's a great twist on the polo sweater. It definitely looks like an engaging knit. It's a DK weight seamless raglan piece, and I think it's really cool. All right, the fourth trend that we're gonna go over today are sweetheart necklines. I saw these both at Abercrombie and Aritzia. It's funny because they were in their sweaters section of their website, but I don't really know if I classify these as full-on sweaters. The Abercrombie one is a sweetheart bodysuit. It is made of a knit fabric, and you can see it has these sort of corset knitted details with like the stitching, and it looks like they use ribbing to sort of create a nice shape around the bust and the waist. And there are not a lot of knitting patterns with sweetheart necklines that are considered sweaters. When I was searching for patterns, I found a lot of summery pieces with sweetheart necklines, maybe because they're more suited for tank tops, but there are a few long sleeve pieces. The first one is the Tesoro sweater by Knititude. This one was just released, and it is a DK weight knit, and I really like this piece. It is knit with negative ease, so you can see it kind of has that similar shape to both the Aritzia and the Abercrombie pieces. It's knit bottom up, but it is seamless, and it has ribbing detail at the waist. It has applied I-cord edging to the neckline, which I believe is really similar to those commercial pieces. And fun fact that I found out on the pattern website, that Tesoro actually means sweetheart in Italian, so the name is fitting for the pattern. Another sweetheart neckline knit piece that I found was the Daphne blouse by Friday Knits. Now this is a fingering weight knit, but it also has negative ease, so it is meant to be a little bit more form-fitting around the bust. It does have ribbing at the back, which I think is a great detail and probably adds to the overall, you know, figure hugging shape of the piece. It also has applied I-cord details and goes from sizes extra small through 4XL. And the last sweetheart neckline piece that I want to share is not really inspired by anything I found commercially, but I just thought it was a great knitting pattern and wanted to share it, and that is the Capulet blouse by Fable Knitwear. So you can see here it's a very feminine top. It also has negative, or I believe 0 ease at the bust. It's meant to just sort of be the same size as your bust. Has very feminine flowy sleeves. This is a bottom up piece that is knit in sport weight yarn, and I think it's a fun twist on the sweetheart neckline sweater. All right, so those are all the patterns that I had to share today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like the concept of matching commercial pieces to knitting patterns, let me know in the comments. I'd love to make this a repeating series, probably keep it up, have a new installment seasonally. So let me know if you like this idea. Looking forward to seeing you guys again in the next video. Bye.